A warm welcome, everyone, and this is a new edition of Wolves Weekly. Today, with my great friend, Dr. C. Shoemaker. We call him Doc Shoe. He is the honorary president of SBS Swiss Business School. A good day, Greg.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Wolfs. It's always a treat to be in Switzerland.
Thank
even
you
though
so
it's
much. Now,
even though
today,
I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, where the temperature will be plus 43 today.
oh my God, Celsius, not
So
Fahrenheit.
Celsius, yes.
It's above 100 Fahrenheit, if I remember well.
It's going to be 110.
Exactly. Oh my God. So, wow. Now, the purpose of our talk today is to share with our viewers your experiences. You have
Okay.
been a wonderful marketing executive. You have been an amazing professor of marketing, always with this practical orientation. And what would you advise our viewers today as your major career lessons?
Okay. Good. Thank you. Well, as I look back on my corporate and career and business career and my academic career, there's some things that kind of jump out at me that have probably led to my success and my enjoyment, if you will. One was I always believed in setting goals, whether it was playing golf or whether it was in the classroom or whether it was running a marketing operation. You have to set goals and you have to monitor them. So I always did that. I was always a strong advocate of education. I did my MBA in finance 10 years after my bachelor's. Then I did my PhD at another 10 years after my MBA. So every time that I got another degree, as you well know, Bert, it opens a million doors. It's like walking out into the garden. Everything is new and potentially possible. So that's what I embrace. I embrace education.
Thank you
Uh,
so much. Now,
another thing,
yeah.
another thing is you and I and the students out there are richly blessed with a lot of skill and a great education. With that comes a great responsibility to give back. We represent maybe the top 2% of the people in the world. It's our responsibility to look out and make a difference in other people, help them, educate them, do whatever's necessary to improve this whole planet. So that's kind of what I see as my career lessons.
I like that, especially the last one. Now, today we're talking in the new normal, and we're talking about the skills which are important. Yeah, we talk in SBS always about the 4 C's that
Mm-hmm.
the students have to have excellent communication skills. We train
Mm-hmm.
them creativity, critical thinking, and also collaboration. Do you think that these skills are still valid for today's industry, or do you see new skills coming up?
These are basic skills to being educated. These are fundamental skills. Creativity, for example. Thinking outside of the box, having imagination, new ways to solve problems, being innovative. Boy, that's what education's all about. We do that. Another one is critical thinking. We discuss and talk about critical thinking all the time. I remember reading a comment by Albert Einstein. He said,
Oh,
he said, challenge the status quo. And you know what critical thinking is? That scientific method. It's doing everything very, very logically. And so we teach that. We really, every time we have an academic conference or you and I talk, we talk about these things. Another one you mentioned is collaboration. We had and I don't know if you have this phrase in Europe, but we have it in the U.S. and it says, two heads are better than one. And
yes.
that fundamentally describes what collaboration is, working with another person or another group to accomplish something. As I said, it's just And that's the world we work in today. We work in a collaborative world. So we have to understand the importance of collaboration. Then you mentioned communications. A number of years ago at my university in Iowa, I created a business advisory board for our business program.
Uh-huh.
And I'll never forget this. The very, very first business meeting we had with the group, I was leading the group, and I said, you hire our students, you intern our students. What advice would you give us professors in terms of how do we make our students better for you? And it was just interesting. Unanimously, they all said they have to be better communicators, both written communication and oral communication. And it was at that point that every class I've ever taught anywhere in the world, my students have to stand before the class and make presentations. They have to write case studies. They have to write projects because they have to be good at communication. And we just burn that into our students here.
You're also a big fan of this practical-oriented education, these andragogical principles. Why is that so important for the students?
It's interesting that you say that. Every student that I have spoken to anywhere in the world, I've always said this. You are going to learn a little bit about marketing from me during this semester, or this time we are together. My job really is to prepare you for success in the world of work. So everything that I do with you has everything to do with practical application of what we're studying. So you can come to class on Thursday night and go into the office on Friday morning and know something to apply. I'm a big believer in that.
My last question from a career perspective, is there something you should say for yourself is, oh God, if I was once more 18 years old, I wish somebody would have told me that at the beginning of my career, so I would have not chosen that particular path, or I would have not made that mistake.
This is a funny story. As you know, I had three sons.
Yeah.
And they participated in lots of sports and athletics. Well, I coached American baseball with all of them for 15 years. I coached American football while they were growing up for 15 years. I loved every practice. I loved every single game that I was with those these are 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old young men, young boys. And I have often said that if I could have fed my family on coaching baseball and coaching football, I would have done that. But what's interesting is then when I started to be a part-time professor, and then when I became a full-time professor, then I looked back at my life and I said, I enjoy teaching my students, my graduate students, my BA students, as much as I enjoyed coaching young kids for baseball and for football. I get as much self-satisfaction from teaching those young adults and helping them be successful as I did helping a young kid hit a baseball.
Well, I think actually what you said now is the biggest advice we can give to our audience is, as you always said to me, I have never worked one day in my life, but I was always able to do what is my passion. So
That's right.
the message to the audience is, yes, you need a qualification. Yes, you need a degree as an entrance ticket, but majorly choose what you are passionate about, because then you go with a big smile every day to your work.
Yes. And I learned, this was my philosophy from the first day of teaching. And this comes from the ancient Chinese philosopher Confucius. And he said, if you tell me something, I'll forget it. If you show me something, I may forget it. If you involve me, I'll understand. That's been my teaching philosophy my entire life.
I think that doesn't need any further comments. Doc Shu, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Many thanks for taking your time. Enjoy your lovely hot day in Arizona, and we'll be
Thank
in
you.
touch again. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Wonderful to see you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. That was another edition of Wolves Weekly. We thank you for your attention and we wish you a lovely week.